Welcome back, American Coin Hunter. The 1999 D 1 cent coin is one of those coins that most people have seen, touched, spent, ignored, and completely forgotten. Yet hidden inside that simple copper-colored surface is one of the most fascinating modern American coin stories ever told. A story that mixes history, minting technology, mysterious errors, rare die varieties, unbelievable auction rumors, and jaw-dropping numbers that have shocked collectors around the world. Because while millions of these coins were produced, only a tiny fraction hold the kind of characteristics that can turn an ordinary penny into something people whisper about in collector forums, auction houses, and private sales behind closed doors. And this is why today we are diving deep into the 1999 D Lincoln 1 cent, a coin that on the surface looks ordinary, but beneath that surface carries stories of mistakes, metal, machinery, and money on a scale that very few people truly understand. In 1999, the United States Mint was operating at full power, preparing for the end of a century and the beginning of a new millennium, and the Denver Mint, marked by the small but powerful D Mint mark beneath the date, was striking billions of coins to keep up with everyday circulation demands. And among those coins was the Lincoln Memorial Cent, a design that had already become a cultural icon in American pockets, purses, and piggy banks. And yet what makes the 1999 D-cent special is not simply its age, because many people wrongly believe older automatically means valuable, but rather the specific conditions under which some of these coins were produced, the metal composition, the weight standards, the striking pressure, the alignment of dies, and the quality control challenges that existed during one of the busiest production eras in U.S. mint history. The standard 1999 D-cent was struck in a copper-plated zinc composition, meaning it has a zinc core making up about 97.5% of the coin and a thin copper plating forming the outer layer. And this composition gives the coin a standard weight of approximately 2.5 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a plain edge with no reeds. But collectors know that within this standard specification lies the potential for dramatic deviations, because when something goes wrong in the minting process, weight can change, metal can shift, plating can split, and dies can double or crack, creating coins that look similar at first glance but are worlds apart in value. The obverse of the 1999 D-cent features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, and by 1999 this portrait had already witnessed wars, depressions, technological revolutions, and massive changes in American society, and Lincoln's calm, yet determined expression on the coin symbolizes unity, endurance, and history itself. While the word liberty appears to the left, the date 1999 to the right, and the famous phrase, "In God we trust," arches above his head, and just beneath the date you will find the D Mint mark, small, subtle, and often overlooked, yet capable of multiplying the coin's value when paired with the right error or variety. On the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial stands tall, designed by Frank Gasparo, and if you look closely, you can actually see a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a detail that amazed collectors for decades, and the inscriptions "United States of America" and "E Pluribus Unum" frame the top, while 1 cent anchors the bottom. And while this reverse design was common from 1959 until 2008, the year 1999 sits right in the heart of a high-speed minting era where machines were pushed to their limits, increasing the chances of dramatic and valuable errors slipping through into circulation. One of the most talked about categories surrounding the 1999 D-cent is mint errors, because error coins are not damage, they are mistakes made during the official minting process, and collectors pay enormous premiums for authentic errors, especially those that are visually dramatic or extremely rare. And among the most desirable errors for the 1999 D-cent are doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet strikes, die cracks, cuts, missing clad layers, and zinc core exposure errors, each one telling a unique story of a moment when the minting machinery did not behave exactly as planned. Double die errors occur when the die used to strike the coin receives more than one impression during its creation, slightly misaligned, causing letters, numbers, or design elements to appear doubled, sometimes subtly and sometimes dramatically. And a genuine double die on a 1999 D-cent can show doubling on the date, on liberty, or even on Lincoln's profile. And these are not simple machine doubling marks, but true hub doubling, and confirmed examples have sold for hundreds, thousands, and in exceptional cases, staggering private sale figures that collectors still debate today. Then there are off-center strikes, where the planchet is not properly seated when struck, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing and blank metal is visible. And depending on how far off-center the strike is, and whether the date and mint mark are still visible, values can rise dramatically, sometimes reaching thousands of dollars for a single penny that most people would have thrown away without a second thought. Broad strike errors occur when the retaining collar fails, allowing the coin to expand outward during striking, creating a wider, flatter coin with distorted lettering and design elements. And while broad strikes are more common than some other errors, high-quality examples on 1999 D cents still command strong premiums due to collector demand. One of the most visually shocking errors is the wrong planchet error, where a penny is struck on a planchet intended for another coin, such as a dime or even a foreign coin blank. And these errors are extraordinarily rare because quality control usually catches them, but when they escape, they become instant legends, and verified examples have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, with some rumored transactions pushing into six-figure territory depending on condition and provenance. As we continue deeper into the story of the 1999 D1 cent, it becomes even more important to understand how collectors, investors, and numismatic historians actually separate fantasy from reality while still acknowledging that some coins truly do reach unbelievable values. Because the line between hype and genuine rarity is thin, and the 1999 D penny sits right on that line, balancing between mass production and microscopic exceptions that rewrite the rules of value. When billions of coins are produced, the expectation is perfection through repetition. Yet perfection is exactly what creates rarity when it fails, because even a tiny deviation repeated only a handful of times becomes legendary once it escapes the mint. During 1999, the Denver Mint was operating high-speed presses that struck hundreds of coins per minute. And while modern quality control systems existed, the sheer volume meant that not every mistake could be caught. And this is where some of the most dramatic and valuable 1999 D cent errors were born. Dies wear out, metal strips fluctuate in thickness, collars loosen, feeders misalign, and plating baths fail, and every one of these mechanical or material issues has the potential to create a coin that is fundamentally different from the billions of others struck that year. One of the most fascinating error types associated with the 1999 D cent is the multiple strike error, where a coin is struck more than once, sometimes with rotation, sometimes off-center, and sometimes with dramatic, overlapping images that look almost artistic. These coins are instantly recognizable, and because each multiple strike error is unique, collectors treat them almost like one-of-a-kind pieces of industrial art. And when a multiple strike error also retains a visible date and mint mark, the value can skyrocket, especially if the coin remains uncirculated. Die cracks and die cuts also play a significant role in the 1999 D cent's reputation. As dies are used repeatedly, stress fractures can form, creating raised lines on the coin's surface where metal flows into the crack. And when a crack grows large enough to break away a piece of the die entirely, it creates a cud, a blob-like raised area that replaces part of the design. Large, dramatic cuds on Lincoln's portrait or across the memorial columns are highly sought after because they show a specific moment of die failure frozen in metal, and advanced collectors often track the progression of these cracks across multiple coins, turning a single cent into part of a much larger story. Another deeply intriguing category involves transitional errors and composition anomalies. Although 1999 cents were intended to be copper-plated zinc, there have been persistent reports, investigations, and debates surrounding rare cents struck on incorrect metal stock, including planchets intended for other denominations or experimental batches. These coins are extremely rare and must be professionally authenticated, but when confirmed, they enter an entirely different league of value because they represent not just a mistake, but a breach in the mint's fundamental material controls. Weight becomes a critical diagnostic tool here. A standard 1999 D cent should weigh about 2.5 grams, but when collectors encounter a coin that weighs significantly more or less, alarms go off. A heavier coin might indicate a wrong planchet or an improperly alloyed blank, while a lighter coin could suggest missing plating or internal voids. Precision scales become treasure-hunting tools, and many major discoveries have started with nothing more than a curious collector noticing a fraction of a gram difference. The role of professional grading and certification cannot be overstated, because in a market filled with exaggerated claims and altered coins, third-party authentication is what transforms a story into an asset. When a 1999 decent is encapsulated by a respected grading service with a clear attribution such as double die, off-center strike, or wrong planchet, it instantly becomes tradable at a high level, opening doors to major auctions, elite collectors, and serious investors who operate in a completely different financial universe than casual hobbyists. Color designation is another factor that dramatically influences value. Full red examples are the most prized, followed by red-brown, and then brown, and because copper tones over time, finding a 1999 decent with blazing red luster after decades is increasingly difficult. Combine full red color with a high mint state grade and a dramatic error, and you have the kind of coin that becomes the centerpiece of a collection, sometimes held for decades as values steadily climb. The idea of massive market value numbers, including figures in the hundreds of millions, often comes from aggregating potential values of extreme rarities, museum-grade specimens, and hypothetical scenarios where unique pieces change hands at peak demand. While these numbers are not everyday realities, they highlight something important about the coin market. Value is not linear. One coin can be worth 1 cent. Another from the same year can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more, depending on how many layers of rarity stack on top of each other. Collectors also consider historical timing. The year 1999 carries symbolic weight as the final year before the new millennium, and coins from this period have attracted special attention from thematic collectors who focus on end-of-century issues. When symbolism intersects with rarity, demand intensifies, and demand is the engine that drives prices into extraordinary territory. Another element that fuels long-term value is documentation. Coins with a clear discovery story, early certification, and a traceable ownership history often outperform similar pieces with no background, because collectors love provenance. A 1999 decent pulled from circulation and immediately recognized as a rare error carries a narrative that adds intangible value, transforming it from metal into memory. The modern coin market is also heavily influenced by digital exposure. Videos, social media posts, and viral stories can bring sudden attention to previously obscure varieties, and the 1999 decent has benefited from this exposure. Increased awareness leads to more searching, more discoveries, and more competition, which in turn drives prices upward for the best examples. Yet despite all the hype, the true magic of the 1999 decent lies in its accessibility. Unlike ancient coins locked away in museums, these pennies still exist in the wild, still circulate, still hide in jars and drawers, and that possibility keeps the dream alive. Every collector remembers the first time they realized that something small could hold enormous potential, and for many modern collectors, that realization begins with coins like the 1999 D penny. As the years pass, surviving high-grade examples become scarcer. Coins get spent, damaged, corroded, or lost, and attrition quietly works in favor of those who preserved exceptional pieces early on. This slow disappearance is what transforms modern coins into future rarities, and the 1999 decent is now old enough that this process is clearly underway. The story of this coin is not finished. New errors can still be discovered, new varieties identified, and new records set. Numismatics is a living field, constantly evolving as technology improves and knowledge expands, and the 1999 decent stands as proof that even in the modern era, surprises remain. And as we move forward in this exploration, the deeper truth becomes clear. The value of the 1999 D1 cent is not defined by a single price or headline-grabbing number, but by the convergence of history, technology, rarity, and human fascination, a convergence that turns ordinary objects into extraordinary stories, and stories into legacies that continue to grow with every passing year. As the story of the 1999 D1 cent continues to unfold, we move even further into the hidden mechanics of rarity and the human behavior that transforms a simple copper-colored coin into an object of obsession, Because coins do not become legendary by accident. They become legendary when scarcity, demand, timing, and belief collide. And the 1999 D penny exists right at that intersection, quietly waiting to be understood by those who look beyond face value point, one of the most overlooked but critically important aspects of the 1999 D cent is how die varieties develop over time. A single die does not strike coins in isolation. It strikes thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, before being retired, and during that lifespan, it changes. Letters sharpen, soften, crack, spread, and distort, and these progressive changes allow specialists to map die states like chapters in a book. Early die state coins show crisp details and strong luster, while late die state coins may show heavy cracks, weakness, and distortions. And in the case of 1999 D cents, some late die states have produced dramatic visual effects that collectors prize for their raw, mechanical honesty. The doubling phenomenon is especially misunderstood by casual collectors. Many people see shadowing or flat doubling and assume they have found a fortune, but true double dies are a product of hubbing errors during die creation, not movement during striking. On genuine doubled dies, the doubling appears rounded, raised, and consistent, often visible under magnification on the date, Liberty, or Lincoln's eye and profile. Confirmed double die varieties from the late 1990s are rare, and when one is tied specifically to the Denver Mint, demand intensifies because Denver double dies are less common than Philadelphia issues from the same era. Another fascinating area is rotated die errors, where the obverse and reverse are not properly aligned. In standard U.S. coinage, flipping a coin vertically should result in the reverse appearing upright, but rotated die errors break this rule, sometimes dramatically. A 90-degree or 180-degree rotation on a 1999 D cent turns a common penny into a conversation piece that collectors eagerly pursue, especially when combined with strong mint state preservation. Then there are strike-through errors, where foreign materials such as grease, cloth fibers, or metal shavings interfere with the strike, leaving recessed or distorted areas on the coin. These errors are snapshots of chaos inside the mint, moments when the production line momentarily lost control. Some strike-through errors on 1999 D cents show ghostly missing letters or smeared designs that look almost surreal, and because each one is unique, collectors often pay premiums based on visual appeal rather than strict rarity alone. Edge errors also deserve attention. While the cent has a plain edge, anomalies such as partial collars, distorted rims, or finning can indicate collar malfunctions during striking. These subtle details are often missed by the untrained eye, but can significantly boost value when properly attributed, especially in high-grade examples. The history of the Lincoln cent itself adds weight to the 1999 D issue. By 1999, the Lincoln cent had already surpassed 90 years of continuous production, making it the longest-running design in U.S. coinage history. Collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents view each year as a data point in a massive historical sequence, and years with notable errors or varieties naturally stand out. The late 1990s are increasingly studied because they represent the intersection of traditional design and modern manufacturing pressures. Another factor influencing the 1999 D cents reputation is survival rate. While billions were minted, the vast majority entered circulation and were used heavily. Zinc core cents are particularly vulnerable to corrosion once the copper plating is breached, leading to rapid deterioration. This means that pristine survivors become rarer with each passing year, and rarity driven by attrition is one of the most powerful forces in numismatics. Collectors also consider hoarding behavior. When rumors of valuable errors circulate, people begin saving coins en masse, which can temporarily suppress values for common pieces while intensifying competition for true rarities. The 1999 D cent experienced waves of attention as online videos and articles encouraged role searching, and while many people found nothing unusual, a few genuine discoveries reinforced the belief that something extraordinary could still be found. The idea of market value reaching astronomical numbers often stems from theoretical scenarios in which a unique, never-before-seen error appears, authenticated, graded at the highest level, and offered during peak market enthusiasm. In such cases, traditional price guides become irrelevant, and bidding becomes emotional. driven by prestige as much as investment potential. This is how numbers that seem impossible enter the conversation, not as everyday prices, but as symbols of what rarity can achieve under extreme conditions. Private collectors play a huge role in this ecosystem. Many of the world's most valuable coins are not publicly displayed or auctioned. They sit quietly in vaults, passed from one elite collector to another through private transactions. If a truly unique 1999 D-cent exists in such a setting, its value would be known only to a small circle, fueling speculation and legend among the broader collecting community. Education is the dividing line between disappointment and discovery. Collectors who take the time to learn diagnostics, study confirmed examples, and understand minting processes are far more likely to identify genuine rarities. The 1999 D-cent rewards this effort because its valuable varieties are subtle, requiring patience, magnification, and knowledge rather than luck alone. As more time passes, the narrative around this coin continues to evolve. What was once dismissed as too modern to matter is now being reassessed through the lens of scarcity, error study, and generational nostalgia. Younger collectors who grew up using these coins are now entering the market with disposable income and emotional attachment, a combination that has historically driven strong demand. The 1999 D1 cent is no longer just a piece of spare change. It is a case study in how modern coins can develop complex, layered value over time. It shows that rarity is not always about age, that history can be recent, and that even in an era of advanced technology, imperfection still creates opportunity. And as we push further into this story, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. The real worth of the 1999 D-cent lies not only in dollars and cents, but in the way it challenges assumptions, invites curiosity, and keeps the hunt alive, reminding collectors that every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is far bigger than anyone ever expected. As we move deeper into the fourth stretch of this story, the 1999 D1 cent begins to feel less like a simple coin and more like a mirror reflecting how value is created in the modern world. Because value here is not just metal and mint marks. It is psychology, timing, belief, and scarcity all compressed into a disc that weighs only about 2.5 grams, yet carries decades of history and speculation within it. What makes this penny especially powerful is that it exists in two worlds at once: the everyday world where it buys nothing and is often ignored, and the collector world where the right example can stop conversations, start bidding wars, and change lives. One of the most important forces shaping the 1999 D-cent status is comparison. Collectors constantly compare it to other famous pennies, like the 1955 double die, the 1972 double die, or the 1983 copper error. And while the 1999 D does not match those legends in sheer numbers of known examples, it benefits from being part of the modern era where documentation, grading, and media exposure amplify every discovery. When a new error is found today, it is photographed, analyzed, shared, and debated instantly. And that speed of information turns individual coins into global talking points almost overnight. Another layer of fascination comes from the Lincoln Memorial reverse itself. By 1999, this design was nearing the end of its long run, and collectors now look back at these final years as a closing chapter. Coins struck near the end of a design type often gain attention because they represent the last expressions of a familiar image. When errors appear on these late issues, they feel like punctuation marks at the end of a long sentence, memorable because they stand out against decades of relative consistency. Die deterioration errors on 1999 D-cents are especially interesting in this context. As dies reach the end of their usable life, details softened, lines blurred, and metal flow became unpredictable. Some coins show swollen letters, distorted memorial columns, or a slightly melted appearance to Lincoln's portrait. While subtle, these effects tell a powerful story about production stress and the limits of machinery, and advanced collectors prize them for their authenticity and connection to the minting process itself. Another phenomenon that quietly boosts demand is registry set competition. High-end collectors often compete to assemble the finest possible sets of Lincoln cents, ranked by grading services. In this arena, a single point difference in grade can mean everything, and finding a 1999 D-cent with exceptional quality or a rare error can elevate a set dramatically. This competition drives prices upward for top-tier examples, even when the year itself seems ordinary to outsiders. The role of grading population reports cannot be ignored. As more coins are submitted for grading, the true scarcity of high-grade examples becomes clearer. For the 1999 D-cent, population data shows that while millions exist, only a very small number achieve the highest mint state grades, and even fewer do so with recognized errors. This statistical reality supports the idea that rarity can exist within abundance, a concept that confuses non-collectors but defines modern numismatics. There is also the element of discovery fatigue. After years of searching, the easiest finds are gone, and what remains are coins that require sharper eyes and deeper knowledge to identify. This naturally elevates the value of new discoveries because they are harder to come by. When a previously unknown 1999 D error surfaces today, it carries extra weight precisely because so many people have already looked. Cultural context adds another dimension. The late 1990s represent a period of optimism, technological change, and transition in the United States. Coins from this era capture that moment in subtle ways, and for collectors who lived through it, owning a significant piece from 1999 feels personal. Nostalgia is a powerful economic force, and it often drives demand more strongly than logic alone. Speculation also plays a role, and while speculation can inflate expectations, it also fuels interest. The idea that a penny could be connected to values discussed in the hundreds of millions, even if theoretical or cumulative, keeps attention focused and searching active. In collectibles, attention itself is valuable because it brings new participants into the market, some of whom eventually become serious buyers. The secondary market for error coins has matured significantly, with specialized dealers, dedicated auctions, and private networks facilitating transactions that were impossible a generation ago. This infrastructure makes it easier for rare 1999 D-cents to find the right buyers, and when supply is extremely limited, even a small increase in demand can have dramatic effects on price. Education continues to separate genuine rarity from wishful thinking. Many coins are altered after leaving the mint, damaged in ways that mimic errors or misunderstood due to lack of experience. True experts rely on consistent diagnostics, metal flow patterns, and microscopic details to authenticate errors, and when a 1999 D-cent passes that scrutiny, it earns its place in the upper tiers of collecting. What ultimately keeps the 1999 D-1 cent relevant is its unfinished story. Unlike ancient coins whose histories are fixed, modern coins are still being studied, still being discovered, still being reevaluated. New technology, better imaging, and deeper research continue to reveal details that were invisible before, and each revelation adds another layer to the coin's legacy. By the time we reach this point in the narrative, it becomes clear that the 1999 D-cent is not about a single price, a single error, or a single collector. It is about a process, a slow transformation from everyday object to historical artifact, driven by time, curiosity, and human fascination with rarity. And as long as people continue to search, to learn, and to believe that something extraordinary might be hiding in plain sight, the story of this penny will continue to grow, becoming richer, deeper, and more compelling with every passing year. As we move into part 5 of our journey through the fascinating world of the 1999 D-1 cent, it's important to understand that the allure of this coin is as much about the human fascination with rarity as it is about the coin itself. Because people are wired to notice the unusual, to seek value where others see the ordinary, and the 1999 D penny perfectly embodies that principle. While billions of these coins were struck and distributed into everyday circulation, only a handful ever display the characteristics that elevate them from common currency to collector treasure, and those characteristics are often subtle, sometimes almost imperceptible without magnification. Yet their impact on value is profound. One category that collectors pay close attention to is die clash errors. Die clashes occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving faint impressions of the opposite design on the coin. On a 1999 D-cent, die clashes can manifest as ghost-like images of Lincoln on the reverse or ghostly memorial columns on the obverse. These errors are relatively rare because modern minting processes have refined die alignment and handling. But when they occur, They provide a fascinating glimpse into the mechanical interactions within the presses and create coins that are visually unique and historically significant. Another critical factor is environmental survival. Zinc core pennies like the 1999D are prone to corrosion if the copper plating is breached. That means that a pristine, uncirculated, full red 1999D cent is not just rare because of production, it's rare because so few have survived decades in perfect condition. Coins that escaped circulation intact, stored in protective holders, or otherwise preserved by collectors or banks, now stand out against a backdrop of ordinary, worn examples. And this scarcity drives the most serious collectors into action. Market dynamics also play a massive role. The coin market is heavily influenced by perception, trends, and availability. A coin that is suddenly featured in a viral video, a major auction, or a prominent collector's acquisition can see a dramatic spike in interest. In the case of the 1999D cent, attention to specific error varieties has grown steadily in recent years, driven by social media, numismatic blogs, and auction reporting. Even a coin that seems common can suddenly be reevaluated once a new discovery shines light on its hidden potential. The role of professional grading cannot be overstated. Coins certified by reputable services like PCGS or NGC carry a form of trust and authenticity that raw coins cannot match. A 1999D cent graded MS67 or higher, with a certified error like a doubled die, off-center strike, or die crack, instantly becomes tradable among elite collectors and can command prices that dwarf ordinary expectations. Grading encapsulates not only condition but legitimacy, and for modern coins, that legitimacy is essential in an era where the line between natural minting errors and post-mint damage can be difficult for casual collectors to distinguish. Another intriguing aspect is the psychological element of collection. Collectors are drawn not only to monetary value but to narrative, history, and the thrill of discovery. Finding a rare 1999D cent in a roll of change, or recognizing a subtle error on a coin casually passed to them, creates a story, and humans assign value to stories. That story, combined with the inherent rarity and market recognition, transforms a humble penny into a coveted artifact. Specific error types also command particular attention. Off-center strikes can range from barely noticeable to dramatic, and their value scales with how much of the design is missing and which features remain visible. A coin struck 50% off-center with the date and demint mark still legible is infinitely more valuable than one with minor misalignment. Broad strike errors, caused by a failed retaining collar, expand the coin outward and distort design elements, creating coins that are visually striking and immediately recognizable to experienced collectors. Planchet errors, while extremely rare, are perhaps the most dramatic. A penny struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or a blank with improper composition defies expectations entirely. Because such coins are nearly impossible to predict, they become instant sensations when discovered. Even in small circulation samples, the potential for such an error transforms ordinary collecting into a hunt for the extraordinary. The 1999D cent also benefits from the cultural significance of Lincoln himself. Lincoln has graced U.S. coins for over a century, and the continuity of his portrait connects each coin to a larger historical narrative. Collectors who appreciate the intersection of history, artistry, and minting technology find in these pennies a tangible link to the past, and that connection adds layers of value beyond mere monetary consideration. Timing also influences perception. Coins from transitional periods or significant years, like 1999, the final year before the new millennium, carry an additional dimension of historical relevance. Collectors often view these coins as markers of cultural or temporal significance, which can subtly elevate demand and create competition among enthusiasts who seek to complete thematic sets. Finally, the long-term legacy of the 1999D penny is tied to the future of numismatics itself. Modern coins, especially error coins, are actively studied, documented, and reevaluated as new discoveries emerge. That ongoing process means that today's overlooked coin could become tomorrow's centerpiece. Particularly as technology improves, authentication methods become more precise, and collector interest continues to grow globally. The story of the 1999 D1 cent, therefore, is not merely a tale of copper and zinc, of Lincoln's profile, or of mint marks. It is a story of rarity emerging from abundance, of human curiosity shaping perception, of errors transforming ordinary currency into extraordinary objects, and of the ongoing interplay between chance, preservation, and attention. Each penny carries within it the potential for discovery, the thrill of investigation, and the reminder that even the most common objects can, under the right circumstances, hold extraordinary value, excitement, and historical significance. As we enter Part 6 of our deep dive into the 1999 D1 cent, the story grows even more intricate because at this point it's not just about errors, grades, or mint numbers. It's about understanding the ecosystem of modern coin collecting, where every subtle variation, every production nuance, and every tiny irregularity can create waves of value and fascination that extend far beyond what casual observers might imagine. The 1999 D penny sits at the crossroads of mechanical precision and human oversight, and its allure comes from the fact that the Denver Mint was producing coins at such massive volume that even a minuscule failure or anomaly could escape the rigorous quality control and become something remarkable. Collectors know that the composition of this coin, copper-plated zinc with a standard weight of about 2.5 grams and a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, is deceptively simple because even slight deviations in thickness, plating, or metal purity can create examples that are not only visually distinct but highly valuable. Some 1999 D cents show partial copper exposure where the plating separated from the zinc core, revealing the gray metal beneath. Others have unusually thick or thin plating, which changes the color, the luster, and even the coin's feel. These differences might seem subtle, but in the hands of knowledgeable collectors, they transform ordinary coins into coveted collectibles. One of the most talked about error types in this year is the off-center strike. Because of the high-speed production presses, some planchets were not perfectly aligned under the dies during striking. The result is a coin where part of Lincoln's portrait, the date, or the memorial on the reverse is missing. The degree of misalignment is critical. A minor off-center strike might be worth only a small premium, while a dramatic misalignment, especially one that still shows the date and mint mark clearly, can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Some of the most spectacular examples of these errors from 1999 D cents have appeared in online auction reports, where collectors compete aggressively for coins with striking visual impact. Double die errors, though rarer on modern cents, are another fascinating category. These occur when the die itself receives multiple impressions during hubbing, creating a doubling effect on letters, numerals, or design elements. On a 1999 D cent, this might be visible on the date, the word liberty, or even subtle areas of Lincoln's jaw and cheek. Experts differentiate true double dies from machine doubling, which is less valuable, by examining the depth, shape, and continuity of the doubling under magnification. A confirmed double die, even from a year with billions of coins struck, can transform a common penny into a collector treasure. Broad strike errors also have their place in the lore of the 1999 D cent. These occur when the retaining collar fails, allowing the coin to expand outward during striking. The result is a flattened, wider than normal coin with stretched or distorted design elements. Broad strike errors are visually dramatic and instantly recognizable, making them highly desirable among collectors who seek bold and unusual specimens. When paired with high mint state grades and strong red luster, broad strike 1999 D cents become centerpiece quality coins for advanced collections. Die cracks and cuds tell another part of the story. A die crack occurs when the metal of the die develops a stress fracture from repeated use, and the coin struck from that die shows raised lines where metal fills the fracture. A cut occurs when a piece of the die actually breaks away, leaving a raised blob on the coin's surface. Both types of errors are a direct record of the minting process, capturing the mechanical tension and imperfections of the era. Some 1999 D cents exhibit bold die cracks across Lincoln's shoulder or along the memorial columns, making them instantly collectible for error enthusiasts. Planchet errors, though exceedingly rare, are among the most exciting for modern collectors. These happen when a penny is struck on a blank intended for another denomination or on a defective planchet. Even a small batch of these anomalies from 1999D could create coins that are essentially one of a kind. Because the combination of correct die and incorrect planchet rarely occurs more than once in a production run. Collectors chasing these coins are often willing to pay substantial sums to secure authenticated examples. The role of grading services like PCGS and NGC cannot be overstated in this market. Certification not only verifies authenticity and attributes, but also establishes confidence in the coin's condition. For the 1999D cent, a mint state coin graded MS67 or higher with a confirmed error or exceptional I appeal becomes instantly recognizable in the numismatic world. Population reports showing how many coins of a given grade and variety exist help collectors understand relative scarcity, and scarcity, combined with collector demand, is what drives prices to extraordinary levels. Color designation also has a significant impact on value. Coins are categorized as full red, RD, red-brown, RB, or brown, BN. Full red examples are the most sought after because they preserve the original coppery luster without oxidation. A 1999D cent that retains full red color has strong strike definition and includes an error such as a double die or off-center strike represents a trifecta of desirability, rare composition, pristine condition, and mechanical anomaly. These coins rarely remain on the market for long once discovered. The narrative surrounding these coins is further amplified by online communities, auction platforms, and social media, which have transformed modern coin collecting into a global phenomenon. When a previously unknown error is posted online, collectors immediately scrutinize the images, discuss potential value, and sometimes travel great distances or pay premium prices to acquire it. The 1999D penny has benefited from this exposure, as stories of unusual strikes, plating splits, and subtle doubling continue to circulate, keeping demand high and imagination active. Perhaps the most fascinating element of the 1999D cent is how it illustrates that rarity is not solely about age. Unlike ancient coins, which are rare due to survival over centuries, the 1999D penny demonstrates that even coins minted in the modern era can become highly collectible when mechanical errors, condition, and collector interest align. These pennies are modern artifacts, snapshots of a specific time, place, and process, preserving a moment of industrial history that cannot be replicated exactly. Finally, the enduring appeal of this coin comes down to discovery. The thrill of finding a high-grade, error-laden 1999D cent is something that has driven countless collectors to search through rolls, jars, and coin boxes for decades. Each successful discovery is not just a financial gain, but a personal story, a tangible connection to a machine, a mint, and the human desire to uncover something extraordinary in the most ordinary of places. And as long as collectors remain vigilant, curious, and patient, the 1999D1 cent will continue to captivate, excite, and inspire a new generation of numismatists, proving that even in a world of billions of coins, a single penny can still tell an unforgettable story.